Hi everyone! Today I wanted to share with you a little bit about my documenting plans for this coming year, for this year, for 2022. So my primary storytelling and documenting are going to happen in a yearbook, which is what most people would call sort of project lifestyle. I don't really call it that anymore because I'm not following Becky Higgins' approach to my documenting. But in this 9x12 album, I'm going to be working on a yearbook that's we'll talk a little bit more about. And I'm also going to be working in a 6x8 story album. So let's jump into this guy first. This is a 9x12 album. This is from either Allie's shop or Studio Calico. I can't remember which, but just the black leather or pleather album. So this year for documenting, for my sort of project life or yearbook, I am going back to a weekly approach. So the last 2 years, 2020 and 2021, I did a monthly approach to this project. And I really have been missing the sorts of everyday, really small stories that I was able to tell in a weekly format. So I wanted to go back to that. The difference being that I'm still working in a 9x12 album. This is my first time doing weekly documenting in a 9x12, as I've always done those in 12x12 albums before. But the 9x12 size is just a little bit more manageable in terms of like going back and looking through them and storing them, and they weigh a little bit less, they take up a little bit less shelf space, they're easier to store on a shelf, those kinds of things. So I anticipate that I will end up with 2 of these albums if the past is any indication and if I'm able to keep up with it. So I was super inspired. Let me talk about this for a second. So my plan is to sort of go through, talk to you a little bit about what I've been thinking as the new year has started. We're now in this is coming out in February of 2022. So I've had a little bit more than a month under my belt to sort of get a feel for how this project might work for me, what kinds of documenting I want to do throughout the year, and sort of how I'm going to work on these projects. So for starters, I was really inspired by Allie Edwards' Begin Story Kit this year. A little bit of an update for me. This year is the first year that I will not be subscribing to the physical story kits. I may purchase some digitals along the way, in like some Stories Revisited sales. I have a ton of story kits that haven't been touched. So my goal really is primarily to work through those and sort of get through my stash and backlog to clear out some space in my room to hopefully be able to subscribe again in the future. So at this point, I'm not subscribing to any physical kits, actually. I am doing a digital subscription for the digital stories by the month from Allie. So that'll be incorporated every month into this album, and maybe some other places, but primarily here. And then I'm going to be working from my stash for most things or digital things that I already have. So I'm feeling really motivated to work through my stash for the first time in a long time and really excited about that. So I'm going to talk to you a little bit more about that today. All that being said, the Begin Story Kit from January 2022 was my last physical kit that I got in the mail. So I got a peek of that and I was like, okay, I'm going to stop my subscription after Begin because I really, really, really love this kit. This is the first kit in a long time that I just felt really struck by. So I'm really happy to have it and I've used up a whole lot of it. For starters, here on my opening page, this is a photo of our little family at Monument Valley in a road trip that we took in November. And then cards and pieces, this acetate Fresh Start, this big 4x6 piece is from the Begin Story Kit. Here I used one of the journaling cards, 4x6 cards in there, and added my journaling at the start of 22. We are blah, blah, blah. Talks a little bit about work, living, and what we're doing in our free time. And then on the back side, a little bit more information about that. I'm really sorry about this glare, but everything's in pockets, and so it's just gonna be the way that it is. Maybe that's a little bit better. A little bit about sort of celebrating the season of beginnings, a few goals that we have as a family that we're working on. All right, so if you looked at watched my walkthrough of my 2021 yearbook, I talked a lot about my love for these full page 9x12 photos in that album. So that is one thing I'm very excited to use and integrate throughout this album as well. And my plan right now is to use these full page 9x12 photos as a sort of divider for each month throughout the album. So down here, I've just added a couple pieces from the Begin Story kit that sort of went with my photo and indicated like a fresh start, a new beginning to the year. And then this January acetate, which is from Ellie's Studio. On the back, I've got another full-size photo here. I've got our street name tagged out so nobody can see that. Of a photo that my husband took while walking the dog one night with a little bit of a snowstorm coming in. This is an old Ellie's Studio card that was just perfect for talking about some wintertime magic. Then, so each month I plan to have this sort of full page pocket or page protector that then leads into what I'm calling as a monthly dashboard. So this is where I'm going to use in the 2020, nope, too many 20s. In the 2022 Stories by the Month kits, there are going to be a few cards. I think there are 5 cards in each kit that will be repeating each month. So one of them is the like messy circle months, a gratitude card, and then this like moments color stripe card are supposed to be ones that Allie is going to have in every month. So I wanted to use those for some continuity throughout my album and to sort of create sort of some similarity and likeness throughout both of these albums, what I anticipate will be 2 albums. So I am using this as like an overview of the month. So I'm working with the digital kit, so I printed all of this out at home. And I took the gratitudes card is a 3x4 card, and I just made it a 4x6 so I could write a little bit more because the gratitude piece is really important to me. And then I created this little like ing word, like a currently card almost. There are these daily details cards that Allie has. That's like, I have a pack of them. I don't remember what they're from some kit in the past or some add-on. But I don't like all of the words that were on there, and they're not all super relevant to me. So I just made my own in Photoshop and saved it as a template so that every month, I can print it out and use it in this thing. I also did a little bit of like a grid at the top inspired by Heidi Swap and her like storytellers grids to do a little bit of like fun layered stamping up there every month. So each month we'll have this card and this card from the Stories by the Month kit, this altered card from the Stories by the Month kit, the details card, a family photo, a photo of us all together, and then one like decorative card or more journaling if I have something I need to tell about that month overall. What I'm doing on these moments card, or my plan for these moments cards, are to stamp out. These are using the Ellie Studio Stanley Jr. Stamps. Let me just pull this out. Maybe give you a better look at it, is to stamp out like 5 phrase or one word sort of highlights about the month. So my plan is to complete this page at the end of the month. To go back, I've set up a template in my day 1 journaling app to be able to keep track of the things I want to talk about on this page each month, since I'm not going to do it until the end of the month. So every month we'll have this dashboard, and then we'll get into the weeks for the month. So here we are jumping into what I'm calling week 1, which is January 1st through 9th. For this week, I used the Begin story kit and some things from my stash. These are old Ellie Studio cards to talk about winter. But begin, chipboards, word, fabric circles, more of the cards here from Begin. I just really love that kit. Put everything through my printer to do all the journaling on my cards. Added a little bit more context with some word phrase chipboard or the fabric circles or some word phrase stamps and stickers here on this insert. So this is week 1. Again, still using the Begin story kit because I felt like that was really appropriate for the beginning of the year, and I loved it so much. I wanted more of it in this album. Then I moved into using up the rest of the pieces, or some more of the pieces from the Stories by the Month kit for January. So this 3 Things card, this card, the Love the Fresh Start, This Happened January stuff, and Beautiful Beginnings are all pieces from that Stories by the Month kit for January 2022. And again, I'm using that digitally. This is a card from, I believe, the Habit Story kit. I have a digital copy of that. I printed that out because it kind of went with everything color-wise. This week we finally had Christmas because we had some COVID delays at the end of December. We got snow, which was wonderful, and I've been working on 30 days of yoga. So again, just sort of learning to work in this format for weekly stories has taken me a little bit of time. This is a kit. This card here is a digital template, like a layered template from, it's a really old Kathy Zilski template. They were called Mini Minimals, I think. You could really easily create something like this in Photoshop or see if Kathy still has that available somewhere. I'll try to see if she still has that and link it below. Again, more typed journaling. It's probably going to be a lot of typed journaling because I tend to write a lot these days and I'm not the biggest fan of my handwriting. When it came down to like what I'm counting as week 3 in this album, I really didn't know what to do. Again, I'm trying to figure out, it's been a long time since I've worked, not from a kit and I'm, just trying to find my groove, which I do think I have found, by the way. So I'm excited to report that today. But one of the things I have is the digital Stories by the Year or Storytelling Basics. I think it's been called both kit. So I pulled a card from there and I did some recoloring just to match a little bit better with my photos and to create more of a cohesive look, and just repeated that card over and over again. Typed up my journaling to tell 3 different stories, included my photos. This card, this week card is from that same kit. Used up some old Ellie Studio puffy stickers. The first thing I managed to like knock out of my stash were these chipboard asterisks, these gold chipboard asterisks that have been in my stash for literally forever. I have no idea where they came from. They were an Ellie product at some point in time, but I feel like I've had them forever. And I was like, you know what? I had this many of them left. I'm just going to use it. And that sort of inspired me to really get into the nitty gritty of like crushing my kits that I have left, especially my old kits. Because I have some old things in here. We'll talk more about that in a minute. That just really, I want to make room for new things. So, and I want to use up the products that I love. So this is all hybrid, right? Most of this product is digital with some different embellishments from different kits on top of everything. So again, following that theme of like, being really inspired by like crushing this piece of this old kit I had in my stash, I felt really inspired to do that. So I pulled out the For the Love story kit, which I still had many pieces of in my stash. And I'm going to insert a photo here. And this shows you what I had left in my kit or from this kit to use up. And I think I made a pretty good dent in it. I'm pretty pleased with it. So one of the projects was this weekly spread with an insert for week 4 of January. So this is the last week of January. And I was able to use a couple of cards, a bunch of chipboard pieces from that kit, more cards from that kit, some word phrase stickers from that kit, more cards from that kit. Some of these were digital that I printed out because I didn't have them anymore. Some Ellie Studio puppy stickers here and here, more cards. Like, I really just focused on, like, I'm gonna use up everything I can from this kit. And I'm excited to report that what I have left are the stamp set, which will go in my stash. I still have a bunch of these red letters, these chipboard letters. I'm not sure what to do with them. They're so hard to use because there's only one of every letter. And I've had these for a very long time. So I'm not sure if I'll keep these maybe for the time being, but I don't know if they'll stay in my stash for much longer. I have a few of these strips left, which I didn't use on this layout, but I'll show you where I did use them. And these are going to go in my December daily box because they're sort of Christmas colors, can always good story prompts for the love of. I have half of that. This card was originally a 4x6 card. I just cut it down, so I have half of that left. And a few more of those clear word phrase stickers. These aren't my favorite, the clear ones. They're really hard to see. So I may or may not keep these. And then I finished out that chipboard piece. So I'm really happy to have that space in my stash now. So those are my January pages. That is what I created for January. And again, I'm sort of using an old story kit that I want to crush or sort of use as much of it as I can. Using digital products. They're still from my stash. I didn't buy anything new for this page. And using up some bits and bobs from my stash as well. Using the digital stories by the month kit on a layout and on my monthly dashboard. So that's all the same kit these 2 pages came from mostly. And then using probably a newer story kit, right? So this might be the current story kit if I have it, if I buy it digitally that month. It might also be just a newer kit that I have. I'm staring at, like, it's got to be 30 kits sitting over there in this cart next to me that need to be used. They're from the last couple of years, like 2 or 3 years. And then starting every month out with a big giant photo because I love that. So that's what's going to be happening in my yearbook. So if you have any questions about that, please let me know below. But in addition to my yearbook, I'm also felt really inspired by Allie's mission this year to work on a story album. So I'm going to do a 6x8 album, and it may take more than one album. That's okay. But working sort of like Allie's taking the approach of like December daily, like working page by page by page and building the album as you go. And I really liked that. That's not an approach I've taken with my story albums in the past. It was more of a like make the story and then find a place in the album where it fits in and figure out the mess later. But this year I'm going to be doing that a little bit differently. So I just wanted to share with you what I've got so far. So starting out with using the Begin Story Kit, because I want to use some more of that. These are the large Jane Alphas from Ellie Studio. Love those. Those are some of my favorite stamps to just create a starting point. Then this is all about my 30 days of yoga journey. Allie made these in the as a bonus, like digital download in the story class for January. So I printed that out to use there. Love the new papers, the like 6x8-ish papers that they're including in the kit and the 3x8 ones. These are so fun. Kind of bummed I'm not going to be subscribing anymore. Then on the back here, this is another one of those pages from the Begin Story Kit, and I did a little bit of compare and contrast of my nieces with some photos that my sister-in-law shared with me, and just talked a little bit about them growing up. Here I'm using some pattern paper to create this fold out that features a full-size photo of my nieces and nephew, and just that 3x8 card from the Begin Story Kit, talking about some of the details of like some things I notice about them right now. This is from the Joy Story Kit that I still have in my stash, so we're going to talk about that in a minute. And then here in the back, I to use up some of those story cards from the For the Love Kit, I wanted to create a page sort of about our Jeep. We just sold our Jeep, which is something we never thought we would do. We just sold it in January, and so it's very bittersweet. And so I wanted to just do a little things I love about our Jeep. Hopefully one day we will have a Jeep again, but for now we are back to being a one-car family. Was able to use one of those big chipboard pieces to do just a little hashtag. And these are Ellie Studio stickers here. And then these are the stamps, are the medium Jane numbers from Ellie Studio. And that's what I've got so far. So February, I'll just keep building stories that happen. So this is going to be sort of an annual accompaniment to my yearbook that just goes a little bit deeper, tells sort of different stories from what's happening over there in that weekly format. So I wanted to show you what I have left of the Begin Story Kit. I've got these number labels. I think there are like 30 of them in here or something like that, maybe 25. I don't know what I'm going to do with those yet, and they might just go in my stash for a while. I have the word Begin. I have one of those 4x6 pieces left, A New Day. Some word phrase stickers. I love these. I love the color. So those will definitely get put into my stash if I don't use them up. I have the story stamp. So that'll go into my stash, of course. I have a few more chipboard, so some more numbers. So something that could be numbered 1 to 10. That could be like a 10 things I'm beginning now, or something else, just 10 things I love about you, or 10, just something I want to number 1 to 10. A couple more chipboard. And then I have the beginnings 6x8 paper. And I have an idea for a project that I'm going to use this for. So I'm not quite counting that. And then I have this page that's sort of already been put together for a story about getting back to training for half marathon after I had surgery last year. So I used that big Begin Again 4x6 plastic piece in one of the pockets, and then cut apart one of those cards. So this is the 4x6 and 2x2 pocket page protector. So I'm going to pair that with a photo, and then I figure using a bunch of these, if not all of these, word or fabric circles with the phrases on them to sort of embellish this layout. So I already have a plan for this as well. And that's kind of all I have left. And then I have the digital, of course, so if I want more of it, I can print them all again, which may be the case because this is like one of my all-time favorite kits. So that's what I'm left with for what I used for January and the Begin Story Kit. And I wanted to just take a minute to show you what I'm going to be doing for February. So my plan right now is every month to do one of these videos where I share my pages from the month, talk about what kits I crushed or used, and then sort of talk about what my plan is for the following month in terms of kits and what I'm going to be using. So in terms of old story kits, I was going back through my stash, and one that stood out to me is the Joy Story Kit. So I'm going to show you, I still have a bunch of pieces of that. I have the story stamp, of course. I have some chipboard pieces, and I have like a whole sheet of word phrase stickers. Then I've got some 4x6 cards. And these are one-sided. So I've got some of these. Quote card. I have a bunch of the 3x4 cards still. And then some of these die cuts. So these are like 3x3 die cuts. So Joy is one of the story kits that I'm going to be using in my February pages, in my yearbook, and maybe some other stories as well. So this is hopefully going to be a whole lot less going back into my stash at the end, or things that I think I can purge and get rid of. So Joy is up on the docket for February. I like the colors. It's sort of February-ish with the blue and the green still, and that it's still winter here where I live, and the pink and the reds for like love and Valentine's, that kind of thing. So I felt like that was a good kit. And again, I have a bunch of it that this has all been in my stash for years. I mean, I don't even know what year the Joy Story kit came out, but it's been a very long time. So it's time to use this stuff. Then I put together a little like stash kit of just some things that prompted stories or cards or things that I thought I might want to use in February. So I've got 2 pieces of chipboard that I want to use up, because look at this. This is just, it's old. I've had it forever. There's not much on it. I want to kill it. Some word phrase stickers, some more word phrase stickers. And these may be from, I think it's from Stories by the Month, maybe, or the Celebrate Story Kit. This might be from Celebrate Story Kit. And then I don't know what that's from. Some 4x6 cards. These are all from Stories by the Month, old Stories by the Month kits. This is from the Home Story Kit, things I love about home right now. Just again, using that as a lens to focus on this month, and the color scheme worked. So I pulled a few more cards from that Home Story Kit. What home means to me right now, embracing this home. These are some old gold foiled cards, some Stories by the Month cards, be messy and complicated and show up anyways. It's a Glennon Doyle quote. Bring on the self-care, observations, happy place, Stories by the Month. Sort of like this could be cut apart into strips and used on photos. This is from the Home Story Kit. This is from an old Day in the Life Story Kit, but I thought they might be fun. And then this card is from the Begin Story Kit, but I want to use that this month to tell a story. So this is sort of my DIY stash kit that I'm just sort of pulling pieces from my stash and hoping to use up this month, at least some of them. Even if I use just some of the cards, that's still putting a big dent in what I have in terms of product laying around my studio here. Just taking up space. So those are my plans from February. I'm not sure if I'll work on a new kit in February or not. It depends. But for sure, I'm going to be working with these two little, the DIY stash kit and the Joy Story Kit. I think that's all I have to share with you today. If you have any questions, please leave me please leave a comment on the video or over on the blog post. And yeah, I'll see you next month. Thanks for watching.